My name is Gregg and welcome to the first episode of Gregg TV. Okay, so what is Gregg TV and why did I name it after myself? So, as many of you watching might know, I am the host of the Tiny Leaps Big Changes podcast on iTunes, and that show has done incredibly well around one concept. What are the individual things we can do on a day-to-day basis that can slowly move us to a better life? And that's the concept that I want to explore here. With Gregg TV, I want to explore decision making. I want to explore the individual things that we can do to create a better life. I want to explore things like meditation and mindfulness and consciousness and essentially anything around this personal development concept that has grown now into a movement. And the reason I called it Gregg TV is because I've spent the last couple of months trying to figure out what this show was going to be. And I came to the conclusion that I really could not limit it to any one particular type of thing. So this show will have interviews, this show will have how-to videos, this show will have featured content, this show will explore, will give you a deep dive into the specific things that we can all do on a day-to-day basis to move us closer to the life we really want. And I want to be clear here from day one. I've done this on my podcast. I try to make sure I say this everywhere. I am not the expert. I am not a guru. I am not a personal development sommelier. As you can tell, I'm pretty young. I'm a 24 in a couple of weeks, year-old guy living in Brooklyn, New York. And my interest in this is simply in personal development. I believe that there are frameworks around creating a better life in the core areas that matter. Our careers, our finances, our relationships, our physical fitness, our nutrition. I believe that there are frameworks that can be deployed within those areas to move us closer to the life that we really want. And I believe that on this show and on my podcast, we can very slowly explore those things by speaking to other people and seeing what they have done that allows them to get to where they are in life. And by looking at those stories, we can then tease out what those frameworks are. So on this show, you're going to see interviews. You're going to see practicality. You're going to see how-tos. You're going to see reviews. You're going to see introductions to things that you might be interested in but have not yet jumped into. And the reason that I've chosen video for this show is simply because I believe it is another level of depth. The podcast is doing well, but there's only so much that can be transmitted over audio. So this show allows me to give you, the viewer and the listener, another data point in your decision making. It allows me to serve you better, to create something that you can take advantage of to very slowly, but very surely, create the life you really want. So with that said, my name is Gregg. I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. This is where you're going to find all future episodes. And now, let's get into the show. So on today's episode, I want to explore a quote from a friend of mine. His name is Bruce Langford, and he is the host of the Mindfulness Mode podcast. And if you haven't listened to that show, I highly recommend it. I was a guest on the show. I was very honored to be there. But essentially what he does is he sits down with industry leaders and personal development people and people who have achieved some level of success in their life, whatever area it might be. And he asks them questions like, what role did mindfulness and being conscious play in that success? And I really, really recommend it. Great show. But I reached out to him for this episode and I asked him a simple question. What is the number one tip for being mindful? And what effect do you think it would have on someone's life if they could just deploy that one simple thing? Here's his response. Quieting your mind with a period of meditation every day, even just for 5 minutes or preferably 20 minutes. And that's something you'd need to work up towards. And the effect that he thinks that would have on your life, you will feel more calm, more relaxed, more in control, and you'll feel like you can achieve more with less stress. Now, I agree with this. I 100% agree. I've personally deployed meditation in my own life, and it has helped me with managing stress, with getting more done, with being more focused, with managing my emotions. It's one of those rare things that allows you to take charge of your own life. And I've spoken about it on the podcast. Meditation has been proven to increase the gray matter in your brain. So there is a scientific benefit to it. However, on a purely emotional level, on a purely functional level, something that we can deploy against almost immediately, meditation puts us in a space to be able to observe. And that's really what the benefit is. We can observe ourselves, we can observe our own emotions, our own reactions, our own stresses, and the events that happen in our life. And unfortunately, we don't do that very often. We do not put ourselves in a position to experience that level of observation. And so what happens is all of these things build up, they pile on top of each other, and it just gets us wound up, and we get into this space where we're not able to accurately deploy any sense of logic against the emotion that we're feeling. So when you feel stressed, if this is a situation that you've sort of been building towards for a while now because all of these things have happened and you haven't had a chance to really address it, then what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to deploy logic against that stress. You're not going to be able to look at what's going on and say to yourself, this isn't that important, or this doesn't matter that much. And that's a really good place to try to get to. So what meditation does, even just for 5 minutes a day, is allow you to observe what is going on, what needs to happen next, and what you can do to control the situation. It also allows you to notice what you can't control, which is an important point as well. And by doing this, by putting yourself in that position to observe it, you can make better decisions, you can have better reactions, and overall, you end up feeling less stressed. So I recommend it, Bruce recommends it, and now let's jump into some resources that you can use to start meditation today. All right, so the first resource that I want to recommend is actually a mobile app. It's called Calm. And if you go into your iPhone or your Android, go into the App Store, you can search CALM and pull that app. Download it to your phone. It's going to essentially walk you through a guided meditation. You can set it at different intervals, which allows you to work up to that 20 minutes that Bruce recommended. So you can start at, I believe, 2 minutes is the shortest, then work up to 5, then 10, then 20. And that's just going to put you in a better place, because for a lot of us, especially if we haven't meditated before, just sitting there in silence is kind of insane, right? It's one of those things that just drives you crazy if you haven't done it. And so by having this guided setup, by having someone who knows what steps to walk you through, it allows you to essentially move towards this space where you can manage it yourself. So download Calm, that's the first thing. And then the second thing is less of a resource or a specific resource rather, and more just a practice to go with it. So I recommend journaling alongside meditation. And the reason I recommend this is because it's an extra layer of observation. See, when we meditate, when we sort of silence our mind and allow ourselves to view our emotions and just sort of go with what happens, it puts us in a place to really be able to manage that going forward. But what journaling allows you to do is record it. And when you're able to record your observations and then make decisions based on those observations, you put yourself in a much further place. So I actually recommend that you go out and you buy a leather bound journal. I love mine. I got it for Christmas from my girlfriend. I think it was fairly costly, but you don't have to get anything very expensive. Just get a piece of paper and pencil. I prefer leather bound because it makes me want to write with it more. It essentially just makes me want to pick it up and hold it and look at it. So go out and get a journal, download the Calm app, start meditating, and then right after you've done your meditation, sit down and just write out how you felt. Write out how that meditation felt. Write out the emotions that you observed. Write out what you think needs to happen the next time. And by creating this log, you're going to put yourself in a position to really get extreme benefit from this practice. And you're going to notice it in your day-to-day life. You're going to notice it in your interactions with others. You're going to notice it in your decision making. It's going to put you in a really good place. So I want to say thank you to Bruce. I recommend for everyone watching this that you go and check out Mindfulness Mode on iTunes. And that is all I've got for you. This has been episode 1 of Gregg TV. I hope that you will tune in tomorrow when episode 2 rolls out. And I don't know what that's going to be yet because I'm trying to do these things on the fly. So I hope you'll tune in tomorrow, subscribe, and I'll see you then.